I have this 14-inch wreath that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. You're going to want some pipe cleaners, some zip ties, and I picked up these 2 different style mesh. They're kind of in the Easter theme at Michael's. I'm going to start from the inner part of the wreath form, and I'm going to take the 2 first rails and the crossbar and zip tie my first section. I'm going to use my zip tie as a measuring tool for my next piece of fabric or piece of mesh. And again, I'm going to go under the first 2 bars from the inside, and I'm going to be right on that crossbar, kind of crossing the zip tie over and under these 2 first rails. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way around the wreath. Once I get to my last crossbar, I'm going to cut the mesh. I'm going to stick it through to the back. And I'm going to zip tie that little piece down. And then I'm going to go around and clip off all my zip ties. I'm going to take some more of the pink mesh. And guys, you can choose any colors you want to do this, okay? I'm going to take some more pink mesh. Now I'm going on the outside 2 rails on the crossbar and zip tying that piece down. Again, I'm going to go to each crossbar. I'm going to go under the first 2 rails from the outside. And at the crossbar, I'm going to tie my mesh down. So you're seeing more of a pattern of these loops. Now, the bigger you loop, the fluffier the wreath. And I'm going to do this all the way around. And when I get to the end, I'm going to cut it off, tuck it in the back, and zip tie that little piece down. Now I'm going into my checkered mesh here. And now I'm going to zip tie it on the crossbar. But now I'm going to be running the mesh across the top. Kind of looks like it's running down the center of the other 2. And I'm tying it with the zip tie at the top of the crossbar. And it's going to kind of go right between those other 2 zip ties. And I'm going to do this all the way around. When I'm at the end, I'm going to cut that off, stick it in the back, zip tie it down, and go around and make sure that all my zip ties are removed. I'm going to put that aside. And here I have a little pair of jeans that's left over from my younger grandson. He no longer fits in them. And I have a grass skirt from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to take this grass skirt and I'm kind of split it in half, almost like 2 ponytails. I'm going to take my first half of the grass and I'm going to stick it down one leg. Guys, these skirts are great when it comes to scarecrows. That's not what I'm making, but that is kind of why I do have them around. But I decided to try it with this and it worked out great. So you're going to slip that first half down the pant leg. And then you're going to grab the second half and push it down the other pant leg. So now I'm going to scoot the pant leg a little bit down. I did this way just so it didn't all get crunched up. It's all like nice and straight in there. And now I can move the pant leg back down to the end. And I'm going to take all that excess skirt and stuff it in the top. And this is where I'm going to get my butt area. And you want that to kind of be full because that's what makes everything turn out so cute when you have a nice big butt. And then I'm going to tuck all that stuff in at the bottom. And we're going to deal with that later. I'm going to take a little more fill and stick it in the butt area. Fill in those pockets and make sure that it looks normal going from the rear to the legs. I'm going to take my hot glue and start closing the top of the pants. Now, I buy these little clamps at the Dollar Tree. I absolutely love them. And the thing with hot glue, a lot of times people feel it doesn't work correctly. And a lot of it is that it really needs to hold whatever you're holding together until the glue completely cools down. So if it's something like this where I know there's going to be tension, I'm going to clamp it and keep it like that for a while until I know my glue is nice and cooled. So I'm going to leave those clamps on for a bit and just going to keep on working. So I found this little bunny tail at the Dollar Tree. It had a little, like almost like a hair clip to the end, and I cut that off and glued the bunny tail to the back of the pants. Now I'm going to take the knees and fold them up. I'm going to use these clamps again. And I'm taking a stitch because you're not going to see the back side of these the front side of the knees. And I'm just stitching across this knee just to encourage the knee to stay at a bend. And I'm going to do that on both knees. Now I have these 2 eggs that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. And this is a piece of white felt. And I'm cutting out the same shape as the egg out of the white felt. And I'm going to need 2 of those. Eggs are a great resource for bunny feet. So I'm going to glue the fabric to the egg with my hot glue gun. Then I'm going to go with my pink felt. And I'm just using a cap. Actually, it's a cap to one of our tubes. And I'm cutting that out. And that's going to be the bottom portion of the palm of his feet. And then I'm going to cut 6 tiny ones out. And this is going to be the toes. And I'm going to glue all this on my felt. On both feet. So now I'm going back to my wreath. I'm going to stick my pants through the front of the wreath so that the tail is sticking out the front. I'm going to remove my clamps, and I have these 2 extra pieces of the pants to the left and to the right, and I'm going to glue them around the bar. One of the bars on the back of the wreath form. And again, I'm going to clamp it and allow that glue to really cool so that it stays there. I'm going to tuck my knees in. And it was kind of, you couldn't really see me doing it, so I just cut it out. But I did glue the knees to the mesh. Now with the mesh, you just want to do a little bit of glue because it does melt it a little bit. But it still did the trick. And now I'm going to stick my little feet into the bottom portion of the jeans and glue it like a sandwich. In the back part of the seam and in the front part of the feet. And just glue that all in there. I really hope you guys can see this good. Sometimes it's not easy filming and making sure that you can see everything I'm doing, but I'm trying. Once that was all cooled off, so here is a headband from the Dollar Tree for a little girl. And I'm zip tying it to the top of the wreath in the back. And I made these little incisions in the pockets of the jeans, a very small hole. And I put some glue on the ends of the hairband and stuffed it in the pocket. Just so I was sure that that was just going to stay where I wanted it to stay. And I did glue the feet down to the mesh just a little bit. You don't want too much glue because it does melt it. I'm going to put a few carrots in his pocket. They as well were found at the Dollar Tree. So cute. I love them just like this, guys. You don't have to go any further, but I did. You could kind of see the zip ties because there was 3 of them. So I took these, they're almost like a 4 or 5 inch piece of the mesh, just kind of rolled them up. And now I'm using a pipe cleaner and tying that down at every crossbar. And it just kind of hid the zip ties. You can really use an object. You could put some carrots there. You could put bows there. This was just quick and easy for me to just grab some of the mesh, roll it up, and have it kind of a little bit more... With the plaid and the yellow, I just felt like I didn't want to be too busy. So I just wanted to keep the same colors going, if that makes sense. And I'm going to do that all the way around the wreath. On every crossbar. And there you go. I really hope you enjoyed this video. For other tutorials, go check us out on YouTube. You can now watch all our videos at chalkitupfancy.com. For any paint products, brushes, transfers, tissue paper, or any of our mesh stencils, chalkitupfancy.com.